Hello, everyone. Welcome in to the Loretta McNary Show. And let's say it together. I'm so excited about my guest today. We've been doing this since 2007, and we say that every time because I truly am not only excited, but so grateful for the interviews and the people I get to meet because of the show. So my guest today, he is doing phenomenal work, right? He's making impact. He's also an entertainer. He's a writer, a producer. So people say triple threat. I think Elijah must be a quintessential threat because I'm going to make up that term for him. And you'll see why after I introduce him and he comes on. But I'm telling you, he's super impressive and so adorable. So Elijah Rock, he's a decorated performer and a 2024 Atlantic Fellow for equity in brain health. Yeah, not only is he an entertainer, but he is so deep into the brain health. And he has this fellow from the Global Brain Health Institute of UC. SF, and he brings a unique blend of artistry and advocacy to Memories Unleashed. Remember those two words. You probably hadn't heard them together, but you'll understand why shortly. His extensive experience as a jazz, theater, and recording artist of the Great American Songbook, paired with his dedication to dementia and awareness, makes him a powerful advocate for Alzheimer's research and outreach. And what better time than now for to have this. He is a trailblazing, he is groundbreaking, and he's iconic, right? If you just do some research, you'll understand why I'm saying all this about him. And it is true. He is amazing. Everybody, welcome for the first time, not the last, Elijah Rock. Hi there.
Hello, Loretta. Nice to see you. Thank you for having
Nice to
me.
see you. Of course, we're going to have just the incredible time here because you're so multi-talented, passionate, and I don't know if there's another person I can compare you to right now. You have qualities, like I saw one of your films, I think it was Lunch with Jeremiah, something you co-wrote, co-produced, and directed and starred in. And you reminded me of a young Denzel. I want to tell you that. You also remind me of President Obama. And your music is way up there with the greats like Nat King Cole. I know you, Billy. I know you've heard this before.
Yeah.
And you are like a unicorn. Have you heard that description before? Is it just me being extra?
Yes, I have. I have heard that, and I'm humbled by it, and I'm just so grateful that I have been able to see my gifts come to fruition, and so means a lot that you say that.
All right. So let me just jump into this conversation with you because there's a lot we want to talk about. And again, I want to salute you for the work that you're doing as it relates to dementia and Alzheimer's, because now I love everybody, and I do have rainbow glasses on a lot. I say I don't see color, but I know when a person is a person of color and a person that's Caucasian. I know that I appreciate and I respect it, but I just love everybody, right? So I know there's some differences with research and development when it comes to certain things. And there's a reason why people of color don't want to get into trials and research. And we'll talk about that too. But first, I want to talk about Memories Unleashed. Just jump right in. So it blends classic songs with a deeply personal mission. Can you tell us why? Well, what sparked the idea for this project and how does it connect to your family journey with dementia?
Well, my father is living with Alzheimer's disease, and it was during COVID that we recognized that he was going through a decline. A lot of people during COVID, because of the isolation, if they were having cognitive issues, it would be exacerbated. And so that's when I took power of attorney of my dad's affairs, and I was in it. I mean, I had to figure out, what senior community was he going to live in. I had to negotiate that. I had to take his car keys away from him, which was very difficult. And then I had to figure out how I was going to now relate to my dad. And his decline is very slow and consistent, and Memories Unleashed was birthed from an incredible experience that changed my life, which happened because a friend of mine, Jake Broder, who at the time was a Atlantic Fellow at the Global Brain Health Institute, housed at UCSF, he was telling me about this program he was in. And at the time, I was telling him about my dad, and he knows he and I worked together in a show called Words by Ira Gershwin in 2016. I played the crooner. And he said, with your dad's experience, you should really think about this program I'm in. And I said, well, tell me more. Long story short, I was accepted into the Atlantic Fellowship Program, which is housed at UCSF in San Francisco. And in the program, you're studying with the leading neurologists in the world. UCSF is top of the line. My mentor is Dr. Bruce Miller, who's head of the Memory and Aging Center. And really the program, it's a postdoctoral program. And, there's only, a handful of artists in the program who get in, but we're there because they see how our music or our art can be an impact on bringing awareness to dementia, Alzheimer's, and not just in America, in the world. And I was the only American in the cohort that I was a part of. And being a Black American, to speak to your point, we're twice as likely to get dementia. And we're participating in research at a level of about 1%. So there's a huge disparity there. And I'm working alongside with Dr. Charles Wyndon, who's African-American neurologist at UCSF. And so Memories Unleashed came out of this experience because we have to come up with a project because we have to apply for a grant after the year. So it's a year-long fellowship. And we are charged with coming up with a pilot project. And my pilot project was Memories Unleashed. And and it's an album and it's a live show and it's all together and it's all happening and unfolding right now as we speak.
Wow. And it seems like it just took off, right? Like you put it out, you had a thought, you put it out there in the universe, and now it is just like its time has come, obviously. And now everybody's got to hear not only about Elijah Rock, but the amazing, impactful work that you're doing in the space of dementia and Alzheimer's. And you have some incredible people on the new album. I'm telling you, your life right now is like this super highway. I can go in so many directions, but I want to primarily concentrate on Memories Unleashed and this, the show, the live show, the album. So tell us some of the people who are on there. And I know one of my favorites, there's a huge connection, one of my all-time favorites. Well, I have several because I named someone I compared you, but Tony Bennett. So tell me why is that so significant right now in this conversation, that name?
That name? Well, Antonia Bennett, his daughter, is doing a duet with me on the album. A beautiful song. I wish I could tell you more, but you're going to hear it literally. We record the vocals in 2 days. I fly to LA tomorrow to finish the vocals on the record, and then she's going to come in the studio and finish hers as well with me. And her pianist, music director, his name is Todd Hunter. And we were just talking in the kitchen of the studio a few weeks ago in LA. And he mentioned Antonia. He was like, oh yeah, we were in Vegas. We're doing this thing in Vegas. And I was like, oh yeah? I was like, with who? He was like, Antonia Bennett. I was like, I know who she is. And he goes, I'm her music director now. I'm like, really? He goes, oh, by the way, I think she'd be great for this project. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, so he was like, well, let's put you guys together and talk to her, see how she feels. And we had a great conversation. And she said to me, Elijah, I really appreciate what you're doing. And I want to help amplify Alzheimer's disease any way I can. And you're a wonderful artist, and I think we could really do something special together. And I said, amen. I think we're going to. And so not only is she going to feature on the album, she's now going to feature as a guest star in the show itself.
Wow.
So that's just the beginning of what I think could be really beautiful between us.
Wow. So how does it feel to know that this project isn't just music and entertaining, but it's also raising awareness for such an important cause? How does that feel? Because so many incredible things had to happen to get you here. And I want to talk about those incredible things because you were the fellow and you had to come up with a project. You came up with this project. Then you're meeting with somebody that's connected to Antonia Bennett. And here we are. So how are you feeling?
Well, it's so much bigger than me, and I was telling someone not too long ago, I said, I would have been very blessed and very grateful to come out in terms of my national presence. I mean, people in the country, around the country, know who I am, who follow this genre of music. But this album and the people attached to the album, Rayford Griffin on drums, Todd Hunter, Ray Fuller, Reggie Hamilton. I mean, these guys have played for Whitney. Todd was Dionne Warwick's MD. I mean, they play for the biggest and the best in the business. And I'm used to working with incredible producers. Steve Dorff produced my last record, and I worked with Kevin Toney, original member of the Blackbyrds, on my first album. But this record has an extra special thing going on with it. And it's one of those things where I know that this record is going to bring me to a national stage, a national platform. And to do that with this cause as at the heart of it is more than I could have ever imagined. And it's like, sometime God, the universe has a plan for you.
Yeah.
It's so much bigger than what you can see. And to be able to honor my dad and help people, to help people who look like me, Black and brown folk and beyond. But we know what the statistics are around the stigma when it comes to our population. And to be an ambassador and an advocate and be of service. Who inspires me a lot is Harry Belafonte in that way. And his service was to civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the impact he made. And my service is to brain wellness and equity and brain health on the global scale, because that's the next great pandemical tsunami that's happening. It's like global warming level. I mean, this is major what's happening. And so for me to be known and using music as the conduit, it's just, I'm just as humbled. I mean, I go, wow. I literally wake up and I go, wow, Lord, thank you for using me in this.
I know. And, even it's a scientific fact that music heals, and especially in the space of Alzheimer's and dementia, and doctors will talk about that. But I want to ask you this: prior to your family's journey with Alzheimer's and dementia, were you associated with the Alzheimer's Society or Association? Were you familiar with Alzheimer's before your dad was diagnosed?
Yeah, I was familiar with dementia because my mom has been a caretaker for great aunties too, who lived with us. So yes, very familiar with dementia. And Alzheimer's Association, Alzheimer's Society. I was familiar with Alzheimer's Association, but Alzheimer's Society and Global Brain Health Institute, I wasn't. And so that happened through the fellowship. And so, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take you off on another exit, and this is where it's not like I'm scatterbrained. I just have so many questions, and I like to keep it engaging, right? So I want to put a pin right there, talking about how you came to be associated with it and why now. But did you always? Because even as a young person, you were into like jazz, and you have this soprano voice, and then you go to baritone. That puberty, right? But tell
Yeah.
me about why you chose this genre and why it in the American Songbook. How did all that happen for you as an entertainer?
That's a great question. So what people may not realize, and I'm so glad that you mentioned the word Great American Songbook, because I want people, all people, but definitely Black and brown folk, to understand that the Great American Songbook is ours as well. It has become a word, a label, a slogan that has tended to mean it's for white folk, and it's not. Because Ella is the one who made Verve Records happen with her Gershwin record, right? So Ella Fitzgerald, right? So Nat King Cole, he built Capitol Records off on this music. So these are Sammy Davis Jr. The list goes on. So what happens is when you are, I was on the opera track. So I was at my senior year in high school, I was in the Young Artist program at the Cleveland Institute of Music. Before that, I spent 2 summers going to Interlochen Arts Academy. So before that, at 12, 13, I was singing in the Cleveland Opera Children's Chorus and the Cleveland Opera and the Cleveland Orchestra Children's Chorus. So I was on the opera track. I was going to be in opera. I got into the Cleveland Institute of Music even as a freshman in college. And I left to my mother's dismay at that time because I was ready to work in the business, which I did. I became, I worked professionally. And musical theater and theater became my life work. So the thing that people may not really understand about being Black and being on the opera track is that you are exposed to the likes of Paul Robeson and Leontine Price and Kathleen Battle and William Warfield. These are the Black icons in the early days that were in opera. I happened to get to play Roland Hayes in Breath and Imagination, where I was fortunate to win a NAACP Theater Award, who was the first classical singer, even before Paul Robeson, to reach international acclaim. So I tied this up to say that when you're on the opera track, you are also exposed to early American composers like George Gershwin. Of course, George Gershwin wrote Porgy and Bess.
Yes.
So, right. So when you open up that, and I was fortunate to play Porgy, the jazz adaptation of Porgy. But when you open up that crate, you are going to stumble across Ellington. You are going to stumble across Rodgers and Hart and Cole Porter and all of these great, because that music is America's classical music. So for me and for artists like myself who are exposed to opera and classical music and early American music, you will inevitably, because it even becomes part of the music that your voice teacher will have you sing when you're learning voice. I'm trained in bel canto. And that's very unique too, because a lot of the singers in the early days of American Songbook, like Tony Bennett, who was trained in bel canto. I'm cut out of that guild, and that makes me not necessarily a jazz singer, but an American pop traditional singer with classical roots. So it is a unique situation that not a lot of Black artists, they either kind of focus on the classical genre, but they may not go and really get deep into American Songbook as a livelihood.
And then to top it off, as if all of that wasn't enough, Elijah, you also tap dance. So when you perform, you are out there like Fred Astaire and Tony Bennett rolled it into a Duke Ellington. You're just I haven't seen anyone like you. And then you have Swoon, right? You work with a country music producer, drummer, or somebody I read, and then you have people dancing to like a country music theme, and so who do you look for inspiration? Did your parents tell you you got to always do something different? Did they set the bar so high that there's no way you can stop, or just say, hey, I've done enough?
Well, I started tapping because Ed Bubble Taps Ferguson, who I used to go to the Cleveland Music Settlement where I played cello, and it's a music enclave, and they teach kids, and he was teaching tap, and he looked at me and said, "You look like you could tap," and I was like, "I don't even know what." And he was like, well, let me show you. So he started teaching me jazz tap. And then when I moved to New York, I was hanging out with guys who were in noise funk and incredible tap dancers. And that's when I was like, you know what? I don't need to become a Savion Glover, but I do want to get good enough where I can go out there and I can paddle and roll and do my thing. And people would be like, okay. So I was like, I'm going to get to a professional level where I cultivate my style.
You'll get there. You are there. Sammy Davis Jr. would be proud. I promise you. And any other tap dancer at that level, don't sell yourself short, Elijah. So I'm telling you, so we have about 8 more minutes. This is going way faster than I even could imagine. I'm so enjoying this conversation. Again, multidimensional. So you and your lovely wife, Leslie, co-founded the Elijah Rock Foundation. So what role do you hope the foundation will play in advancing dementia research and supporting those affected by the disease?
Well, the foundation has the local mission of providing respite care, and we're looking at establishing an adult daycare, which the city doesn't have. So that's our local initiative. Our national initiative right now is Memories Unleashed. And that's why we wanted to start a foundation, because, I wanted to have the bandwidth to create a foundation with the mission to expand dementia awareness and research through the performing arts, particularly music. But we can engage in all types of arts projects. So all of these initiatives on the national level with Memories Unleashed is funded through the foundation through grants by Alzheimer's Association, Global Brain Health Institute, Alzheimer's Society, which is very novel to have a 501c3 public charity. And that's the goal, is to be able to use the foundation as a platform to raise capital, to scale these events. Because the thing about the Memories Unleashed events, they're free to the community.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Yeah. I heard that. So the show is free. Proceeds from the album go back into research. I'm like, he's got to be kidding me. Are you like Saint Elijah? You are living up to your name for sure. Your parents named you the right name. That's my personal opinion. I don't know them, but just looking at your lifespan to this far. And let me say this to everybody for clarity. He did not just get started. We are only discovering him because this is the perfect time. He's in his season for such a time as this. So tell us about what you were saying before I rudely interrupted, because I wanted people to know how outstanding you really are. Not only are you an amazing entertainer and all those titles I told them about, but your heart is so big. You are really very intentional about impacting, leaving a mark, and helping families who are dealing with this journey of a new normal for them. So I salute you.
Thank you so much. Even the album cover was painted by Kigundu Rodney from Uganda. And he is a current fellow at the Global Brain Health Institute. And let me tell you, this painting, it's a silhouette of me and my brain with art and with nature and flowers and let me tell you something. This painting everyone who sees this painting goes, oh my goodness. If you just look at this painting, you're going to be like, what is the music about? And then when you listen to the music, it's going to connect. And we're going to sell the prints. And the prints are going to go to support the mission, just like the album. And I wish I could. I wish I could. We'll get a sneak peek for you so you can see the painting. But it's just that powerful, because when you connect music and art and nature with the brain, that visual is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And again, every aspect of this project is to build conversation and to ignite conversation around brain health wellness. And let me just drop a few things that people may not know. We actually have the capacity to expand our brain health in ways that we may not know. And some of them are things like low stress, lowering your stress, no excessive alcohol, not smoking, basic daily exercise, your diet.
Mm-hmm.
And with our community, with diabetes risk factor, vascular dementia through stroke risk factor. So the thing is that yes, we are twice as likely to get dementia. However, there are things that we can do to actually decrease risk by up to 35%.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
really want to make sure we understand that we have, we can have agency over our brain wellness. And when people talk about mental health, what I'm interested in is reframing the conversation around
Mm-hmm.
brain wellness. Because somehow when you think about mental health, it has a negative connotation associated with, poor mental health. I want to say, how about we increase brain wellness? Because if you are doing well cognitively, guess what? Your mental health is going to be way better.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Again, a scientific fact. It doesn't care who you are. It works for everybody. If you would do the things, those 4 suggestions and what your doctor is telling you. And I know in some countries, they don't even call it Alzheimer's. They call it like diabetes 3, because it is associated with the choices that we're making for our health. And the brain is a muscle. So the more we use it, there's so much cognitive skills and exercises that we can all start doing now. And music does heal. It restores, it inspires. And I've seen countless documentaries on the healing power of music. And I love jazz. I love classics. I love it all. The Great Americans. If I could sing, I would be like, I would sing with you. But that is not a gift that I currently possess. But I'm hoping one day I'll wake up, Elijah, and I'll have that gift.
That's right. And it's the nostalgia. I mean, these songs, and that's why I wanted to call it, that's why I call it Memories Unleashed, because
Beautiful.
the idea is that it unleashes memories. These songs that are on the album, like Unforgettable, I Just Found Out About Love, My Funny Valentine, Route 66, Is You Is or Is You Ain't My Baby.
My baby.
A poem that I wrote called Memories Unleashed. When you look at the body of work, these are songs that are in the zeitgeist of our consciousness, that and it transcends color. Unforgettable's on the record, but when you hear our version of Unforgettable, you're going to be like, I'm even blown away by what Rayford and Todd came up with on this arrangement. And so, these songs, they bring back memories, and that's the idea, because nostalgia is great. Novelty is great for our brains. The socialization coming to the events, super key. And what we're doing, Loretta, is so novel with the research component. We're actually, in exchange for the free ticket, we're asking about 5 very simple questions before you get your ticket. To release your ticket, 5 simple questions, just to kind of get an understanding of what people's sentiments are around, awareness and research. And then at the end of the show, to get your free gift bag, there's about 5 more questions. And so we are IRB approved, which means we've gone through the process to be able to ask these simple questions. And we're actually going to do we're going to do an analysis to, again, try to understand what are the barriers, what are the feelings, what are the sentiments, and how can we be a bridge? Because there is that historical stigma with our population, because
it is, and it's going to take more conversations like this, more shows like you. I know I got to let you go. We've already missed our deadline where I was going to end it. But Elijah, is it a tour? Do we have to just come to Vegas or San Francisco? Will you bring it to Memphis? Will you bring it to Nashville? Somewhere you can drive away in the South.
Yeah, so to specify that, March 28th will be at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, and then we're TBD, but around May 3rd, we're hoping to lock down the historic Lyric Theater in Miami, and then after that, we are looking to mobilize our donor support to scale a full-on national tour. That is my goal, a national tour, 20-30 cities, Memories Unleashed. And that's why I'm calling the album Memories Unleashed Impulse 1. Impulse meaning the impulse that music, to ignite, brain health. And the goal is that the shows will continue to evolve, and we'll keep putting out Memories Unleashed albums. So Absolutely. This is going to be a long-term project.
Oh yeah.
That will scale and go all around the country.
It is definitely a gift that will keep on giving, both financially, figuratively, and the world needs your purpose and your gifting, Elijah. Thank you for everything you're doing and everything you're gonna yet to do that will blow us all away. You're leading by example, and I commend you on that. And this is not goodbye, although I got to end this segment. Because I know I'm going to meet you in person, and who knows what the future holds. But I'm very proud and very blessed to have met you and have shared this time with you to share your amazing project, Memories Unleashed. Awesome stuff. Thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you. Can't wait to see you in your neck of the woods.
All right. Thanks, Elijah. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. I'm telling you, know what we do in closing? We've already gone too far. I have so many words to say, but I'll have to call a friend, right? But thank you so much for watching. As always, think positive, dream big old dreams, and help someone do the same. And guess what? I'll see you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.